Hello, or should I say Privyet. Today I have a game review for Andrey from Moscow, Russia. Um, yeah, he sent me a game. He said it's around the 10k level, and specifically, he asked at the end. Um, Okay, this is how I'll imagine it. He said something like, and at the end, could you give me and other followers, of course, a couple advice how to make game review myself like you do at end of your own games? Okay, that was terrible. Okay, enough with the Russian, the terrible Russian accent. But anyway, yeah, he said in addition to just reviewing the game, some advice for how people can review their own games. So I'll try to talk for a couple minutes at the end of this game about that. Okay, so let's see here. It's an exciting game. There's a couple good elementary type things to look at, and then a couple more complicated things also. So this is, we've got the High Chinese, which is a bit unusual, but definitely playable. And then white approaches to the upper right, and black ignores and plays elsewhere, which is fine. White dives in right away here. I think I'd probably rather respond for the upper right with something like this, a double approach. So black could choose the really simple way of playing. This is this pattern. Locally, it's definitely good for white because white has very nice territory around the top. But for the whole board, it's not too bad for black because black builds a nice wall facing black's big influence on the right side and the bottom side. There's also I went through it pretty quickly, but don't worry too much about the specifics of the pattern. Black can also play this press instead of, in the previous version it was a jump. So this press is a little bit more severe. White can push and cut, and it'll probably turn into some kind of fighting situation like this, where white's got a weak group in the middle. Well, it's not too weak because it's completely out and it's in no danger of being surrounded, but black's got this group to look after and this group, and there's still some aji with this stone where like let's say black responds for the top, then white could try invading here immediately, or just help this, but then I think black gets too much, so probably white would want to try something here right away, because if black gets cut along this area, then it looks like black's A group is in big trouble. So that's one way to play, or you could take the corner, or just respond for the upper side, because these three stones make a nice formation for white along the top. Q5 is not it's not bad. It's definitely it's the proper move to invade this black bottom right area, but since there's other areas on the board that are still a lot more open, like specifically this area and this area, I would consider playing in one of those before invading black. Okay, so we've got this. Kick, extend. This Hane is unusual. White could consider just jumping out, and if black really wants to play another second line move, then I think it's fine. You say, okay, I'll just re-invade on the right side. So white's position with this A group is pretty cramped. It's not really doing much, but black plays already 4 second line moves this early in. Oh, I should use the number tool. 4 second line moves already in the opening, which is a lot of low moves. Difficult to make a big territory with so many second line moves. So it should be fine for white, given that white has Komi. And also, if we go back to the beginning, you might look at this result and feel like, oh, the white group invaded and didn't really get anything. But if you go back to the initial invasion point, it was completely black's area anyway. So white was invading only to destroy territory, not to make big territory. If white wanted to just make territory, then here or here or something would be better. Okay. So white responds once, okay, and then black fixes. Here, white plays here again, but I really want to jump out with this group now. I think it's important to jump out here to make sure that this black's group and this black's group are split. When white blocks here, let's see, so black defended up there. Okay, I would just be a little bit concerned about black getting a move somewhere in this area, because it seems like black is going to be able to build a really nice influence in the center. And if white doesn't care about it, then if white lets this group get surrounded, then black can look for A later, which looks pretty troubling. So let's say white plays somewhere else again, black plays the clamp. It might not even be a ko. So if white fixes, oh yeah, it's definitely not a ko. This is just bulky 5, right? So white could try this, but then Atari, oh, go down? I don't know. Anyway, there's actually a life and death situation with this group later in the game, so I won't spend too much time on it. But anyway, it's troubling. At the very least, black is definitely going to have a ko here to kill the whole thing. Oh yeah, so anyway, the point sorry, the point is that rather than descend at S3, I think it's a lot more important for white to jump out and make sure that it doesn't get surrounded. If the group gets surrounded, then it's really painful and it can die. Okay, so black, I like this move from black. It sort of defends the corner and it extends from these 4 stones at A. Looks pretty nice, and white decides to take the corner. Aha, so here I think this is another questionable move by white. I really like the idea. White gets a turn, and white wants to play a move to negate this big influence that black made, but I think this is a little bit too close. I think black could consider attacking immediately, either playing this directly to attack the 2 white stones, or black could approach the corner. Usually white, with this L17 stone, likes to play this kick variation, because black only has room for a 2-space extension, so it's a little bit cramped for black. But in this case, this would be a really good result for black. I think that the 2 triangled stones, the 2 white stones, are much weaker than black's group, because white's A influence it's respectable, but it's nothing compared to this super thick, super strong wall of B. So I think if fighting happens in this area, it should be really good for black. Okay, so I think this is a little bit too close. I would prefer either just taking the corner like this, or maybe going a little bit farther here. But primarily I want to play a move that focuses on the corner as its primary goal. Like the primary goal is to make the A corner stronger, and then the secondary goal is to reduce this B influence. I think you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say, or accomplish 2 different things with just 1 move. Okay, so black plays this. I This is a bit too early. And then this one doesn't really make sense. If black is really scared about the stone, then it's better to play here. But if I were black still, I would just approach here. But black plays this, which is too slow, and then white moves it out. But I don't like that again. I think it's too slow. Here, this looks really nice now, because it both builds the A corner and it strengthens this B stone. So I really like this move now. And you can consider, so in the game white moved out this 016 stone immediately, and we get a big fight here. But if white plays somewhere else, do we really expect black to play this? I don't think so, right? It's in the opening stage. This seems much too small to play this early in the opening. So since we know that black doesn't want to play 016, we don't need to be in a rush to do it ourselves. We could play somewhere else and say, you know, something like this happens. Then if later on we decide that we really want to bring this stone out, then we should have the opportunity, because we don't expect black to play such a slow move. Okay, but white brings it out. And then jump, but this jump doesn't really work because black plays Atari and then kills all the stones. So should just keep pushing like this, and then I think this is actually, it turns into a really nice situation for white because black really wants to help these A stones, but there's also this B cutting point to look at. So I think it's going to be difficult for black to handle both. So if I were black, when white moves this stone out, I would probably just connect underneath. And if white plays this, then either you could continue locally, but I don't really like this for black because black only gains sometimes this number tool doesn't work when I hit F8. Black only gains like 4 points. Maybe. It's like 4 points maximum. But white gets a really nice influence in the center. So it looks like white, I'm sure white is going to make more than 4 points in this A area and B area combined. So probably, rather than continuing locally, I would just leave this and play another big point like this, or maybe this one. Okay, so let's continue. So this is too bad white loses all this, and the game is pretty difficult for white now that black has this really thick wall. Difficult to handle. Okay. So white tries to attack here. It looks like white is going to have to do something in order to get back in the game. Okay. Push, Atari, connect. Okay, and then white fixes here. Okay. And black, ooh. This is a little bit, I want to say it's a little bit slow. I'd prefer, I guess I want black to push this way, because this white A group, it's pretty strong, but it doesn't quite have, you know, clear eye space inside. So you can keep pressing on it to give some pressure. And then now I don't think black needs to worry about this, this attachment at A. White can attach, and it doesn't really do anything, right? But this is really, it's slow, but it's also really powerful, because now there's basically all this is real territory now, and the connection between B and C is pretty good. Okay. Here, one more time. I would prefer, it's a very fine detail, but I prefer G17 to H17. Or even in this case, actually in this case, I think I'd want to play f17. Basically because it's more important to save the corner territory at A than to help this one stone B. At this point, I'd say black is so thick around with this influence next to the B stone that I just want to forget about the B stone and not really try to deal with it anymore. So I'd rather just play for the corner, and then maybe later on, if I get a chance to play this, then I can then I care about the L17 stone again. But I think playing this close, it looks a little bit, I don't know. I feel like black still could consider just invading here immediately, which is pretty aggressive. Probably not a good idea. It's probably much better to approach on the other side. But still, with this kind of invasion, if these two white stones get split off, then they're in big trouble because they're next to such a strong black influence. There's a general proverb, play away from strength or play away from thickness, so I think it applies here. Okay, black approaches here. I would rather approach on this side to keep building the A area, but okay. So black pushes here. We know the pattern is to extend to C9, but black just pushes into the corner instead. So it's an unusual move. How do we handle? So there's two thoughts. Black is supposed to play C9, so maybe white can play C9. And in the game, white played C8, which is basically the same idea. And I do like this idea because it's a pincer on this A group, put some pressure on the A group, and it's also a nice extension from the B corner. So it's a nice double purpose move. And I think that white's corner group is a little bit weak, but it's not really in danger of dying anytime soon. It's still got the bottom area down here where white can slide to make a lot of eye space, and it can still jump up into the, let's see, up around here. I have to make sure to use all the different marking tools. Okay. To jump again from this side though, this seems a little bit ambitious, like white is trying to do too much. I think if white wants to play a move to help the C8 stone, then rather than jumping, I would probably just extend here. Or I guess maybe down here. This one, it seems pretty tempting for black to invade here immediately, because this area is still so wide open. Should not be a problem. Yeah, so I think I would want to play this. And, okay, black attaches here, but I don't really like this. After all these exchanges, black didn't get anything except a really ugly shape, and it made white a lot stronger. So, if black wants to, I guess there's two moves I would consider here as black, locally, A and B. Whoops. If black plays B, that's sort of saying, okay, I just care about this territory at A. I'm going to take lots of cash down here, and it's pretty big territory, so I think that's a pretty reasonable way to play. Or black could play A, and after something like this, black still gets some territory down here, but black has a little bit more influence for the center. I don't think this makes as much sense, because I mean I think this is worse for black, because white already has a lot of moves for the center. So with these sort of influence stones that black has, it doesn't really seem like they're going to be useful. Can't really do much with them. So I would rather play this way and just take territory. But these exchanges don't do anything. And white plays this. This is, I heard this just a couple months ago. um, armpit hit. So we know that, like this is like the shoulder hit, right? Where there's a third line stone and you play on top of it. So it's like pressing down on white's shoulder or whatever. I've heard that this J3 is called armpit hit because you're playing underneath the stone. And this is almost always a bad move. Because black just answers here, and then this stone, white's A stone is weak, and black's B stones are strong. So I guess white is going to do something like this. But then it solidifies this A area. It forces black to solidify this area, and black gets sente. So it's pretty painful. Black could play somewhere else, like here. So I would recommend, rather than playing this move, if it's possible, you could try attaching, and you can probably get a better result with this through some kind of crosscut fighting thing. Or if you need to be a little bit more passive, then this K2 should be, usually this is working too, especially if white has the two stones here. Black can press you down, but now you got plenty of eye space, should be fine. Also black can try this, but should be able to fight here. Black doesn't have very many liberties, and if black connects here, then that's no problem. So should be okay. There's other possibilities here. Like this way you get squeezed pretty badly, but at least you're alive. And there's some aji to look at. Actually, this variation looks just about as bad as the armpit hit, doesn't it? Yeah, it's almost the same. Huh, okay. So maybe this is a good response by black. I don't know. There's a lot of different variations to look at here. But anyway, I recommend to try to find a better move than J3 in general. Only play J3 if it's like an emergency and you really need to make eye space in a hurry. Okay, but black plays this, which I don't understand. White can just push through, and black kind of got nothing. Black got no territory down here and no influence, and white gets a lot down in C. So great result for white. Okay, this next move, this N2, locally it's a good move, and it's one of my favorite moves that white played this game. Not because it's a really good move in this situation, but because I think it'd be much better to play here, something for the upper left. Or even white could jump one line farther. But I really like that black played Atari on this one stone, and white didn't care. White just played somewhere else. This is sort of the general way that when you get in the higher and higher ranks, all of your games turn into contests like this, where your opponent plays something and you say, oh, that's not big enough, I'm going to play a much bigger point somewhere else. And then your opponent says, oh, that move's not that big, I'm going to play a much bigger move somewhere else. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, so it's really good to consider, do I really need to connect this stone? Now white gets sente, white can play this. So the value of connecting at D3 is like a couple points. So white plays somewhere else, much bigger point. I like it a lot. I really like the idea, even though I think playing a move on the left side would be better. Because black captures, and it's no problem. White just connects here. So black gained 1 point from the capture, and maybe 1 or 2 more points in endgame if black gets this. But not a big deal. Okay. So finally white plays a move to help the left side, and black takes the corner. Okay. And okay, this is a really important part of this game, where so one of the first patterns that most people learn, let's just eliminate this stone for a second, is this corner invasion, when black plays the 3-3 invasion and then white gets this influence. So we know this is the general way, but in the game, black didn't play this e18. Oops, black didn't even play the Hane. Black just goes down. So this is unusual move, not the normal way. So what do? There should be a way that we can get a little bit of benefit here, right? We should be able to punish it somehow. So in the actual game, white just blocks here, and black comes back and plays this Hane. So not a big deal. But this e18 from white is really powerful, especially because white has these two stones along the top. With this e18, it's very, very difficult for black. Looks like black's best chance is to push here and cut, but white can just extend. And la la la, Ataris. This h17 stone is in a really nice location, so black can play g17 to connect out the two stones here. And so black is split into 3 groups that are all weak, and the corner, this is a good life and death problem to look at. So let's say black plays here to try to live in the corner. It's white's turn. Can white kill? I don't know. Well, I do know, but maybe you don't. And if you don't know, then I strongly recommend that you take some time and look at this, because this is the type of shape it comes up really often in games, and it's really if you have this memorized, then when it comes up in a game, you don't have to spend time thinking about it. You just know, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do here. Or what not to do. We don't know. Okay, so definitely I recommend taking a look at this. But basically, it's very difficult for black to do anything if white takes this key point of e18. Okay. But white just blocks here, so it's a little bit better than the normal pattern for white, but could have been much, 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 much better. White plays this Hane, okay. And this extension, I think white should play this Hane, and if black responds like this, then white could consider playing this to try to kill everything. I'm not sure if it's this clamp. Black has this really thick wall here, so maybe trying to kill is a little bit too much, but still you can force black down to almost nothing, like 0 points. So that'd be a pretty good result. Yeah, and if black doesn't respond, then you could just take the 3 stones, and then your left side is really, really strong and really, really big. So I think white has a pretty good game, but just extends. Okay, and black fixes. Oh, this is important point. Okay, so black fixes at b18, and white has Sente. So this is where these are the kind of like middle game situations where you have Sente, there's a lot of stones on the board, and where you play is really important. Like, this move is more valuable than a lot of other moves, because if you play the right move, you can make all of your other stones look beautiful, and if you play the wrong move, then your other stones might end up looking ugly. So, for instance, white doesn't really want to play J18, right? It's just not that big of a move. white can't really get a lot of territory up here, and black also can't get a lot of territory up here. Looks like if I were black, maybe try to invade this white area immediately, or just jump in to reduce this way. So if I were white, I would really want to play this move, because I look at this board and I see, oh, I just got this really awesome influence up here. All of the super strong wall. And then I've got this pretty strong group here, and I've got this over here. So it looks like this is turning into a big box where I can make a lot of points. So I want to try to seal it in as best I can. And I think this one looks really good to me to make this area really big. I would also consider maybe something like this. But I usually, black's so strong here, I normally want to play away from thickness. So I'd rather play here, and if white jumps here, then just be content that black is going to get some reduction, but hopefully not too much. So white played here, which is kind of lacking focus. I think I'm not really sure what this move is trying to accomplish, because it seems like white should try to do something with the big wall, but this still lets black jump in here or jump in here, and it doesn't really make any points. And this black group is strong and alive and connected, so it's not really attacking that group either. So this is kind of a big wasted opportunity. Okay, so black decides to invade. White resisted in the game, but I think you could just connect, and then I'm not sure how black is going to use this one stone. It's a little bit submissive to just connect like this, but still, I'm not really sure what black is going to do in this area, because white is so strong. Yeah, it's got to be really difficult for black to fight in here. But play this one, okay. Black pushes. And then this is one of the biggest mistakes of the game. This connection at E16. So if you want to connect against this peep, then I think you should do it right away. After all these exchanges, to come back and connect. So it's like black exchanged A for B, the square stone for the square stone, and the triangle stone for the triangle stone. So now black gets to play this Atari, oops, and capture and push, and probably black should play a big move like this rather than that little move. So black gets a if we go back here, big influence for white, really big area. Then we go to here, it's all completely erased. And I think the big mistake was this connection. When you resist against the peep by pushing out like this, then you need to be resisting because you're really going to resist. White definitely needs to extend here, and then if black cuts, play from the other side and keep attacking this group. This way, it's really difficult. Black is heavy. I don't know, something really difficult to handle this. Something like this. Still black is not connected or alive, and white made really nice territory on the left side, at least. So, it would be better. But, letting black play this Atari is too painful. So black got, too much in this area. And this one, okay. So here it's a ladder, so black is able to connect out. Okay. White plays this one. It's a really big endgame point. It's Sente for both players. it's a little bit more sente for black than it is for white. I think black probably won't respond this early. So maybe it's kind of just sente for white. I don't know. I mean for black. And the reason I say that, sorry, if that's not obvious, the reason is, so let's play white play, let's say white play somewhere here. If black gets this one, then black can reduce all of this. Black can reduce a lot of this group's points. It's like another 8 points. But when white gets it, white can only reduce like another 4 points. So it's a much bigger move for black than it is for white. Okay, but black ignores to play in the center. But black couldn't really do much because of that weakness right here, the one J10 stone. So white handles it pretty easily, and awesome net. 2-finger Tesuji. Can I catch it in a ladder? Can I catch it in a net? Okay. So we keep going. White presses in. This one doesn't seem that big for this stage of the game. It looks like white doesn't make any points and reduces black by about 5 or 6. I think it'd be much bigger to play here. With this way... Oh, this is probably not the optimal variation, but white's going to make a few extra points down here, like around here. And it's definitely going to reduce black by at least 5 points. Because in the game, later on, yeah, black blocks here, and then these all become solid points. And also this threatens black can have a follow-up at A. Talking is difficult today. I think it's because I wanted to say, so Andrey is from Russia, and I really like other languages, and I'm really impressed with how well other people speak English in the world. And I kind of feel a little guilty that I can't speak, other languages that well. So I like to try to at least learn a little bit. So, like Privyet or, Ya poнимаю по-английски or whatever. That was probably really bad. But I spent like half an hour trying to say Здравствуйте, like the formal way to say hello. And I can't do the Здравствуйте. I can't do it. Oh, but I tried for like half an hour. And maybe that's why I'm so tongue-tied and I keep misspeaking. Здравствуйте. I'll stick to Privyet. That one at least I think I get kind of close. Okay. Back to Go. Go is really important, and it's very serious, and we need to focus on it. Okay. Okay. So the rest... Oh, right. Basically, it's only endgame for the rest of this, except there's a really important... spoilers, white ends up winning this game by a few points, but this is a mistake. P5. Big mistake. Because, well, okay, it's a big mistake, probably you can guess, because with this move, black is able to kill this group. So I would definitely, it's a pretty nice puzzle. It's not super difficult. It's probably in the single-digit Q range, mid-single-digit Q, I don't know, somewhere around there. But yeah, I would recommend pausing the video and trying to solve it before I go on, because this seems like an innocent move, P5. It's like white just wants to get a little bit more. White wants to get a little bit more before coming back and fixing to live, but it's a little bit too greedy. Okay, so I'm going to go over the solution. So the key is that this I at A can be made a false I because this is, not only does it make A a false I, but it's Atari on these two stones. So black can play Atari, and then white connects, and then black connects. And then, this A is a false I. And I'm sure you're saying to yourself, well, long stride, why doesn't white just play at T4 now to live? Then, as you can clearly see, there's two I's, one at S4 and one at T5. Aha, that's true. So, black should consider that in advance and say, my opponent's really nice point was T4, which allowed my opponent to make two I's. So what if I play that one in advance? Now white's in a pickle. Difficult situation. If white blocks, then we do the same thing before, Atari and connect. And then now A is a false I, and white only has one I at T4. So the whole group will die. So maybe white tries this, but it's still not good because black can play Atari and then connect this stone out. And if white plays this, then there's just one I at R5, so still can connect this stone out. So it's a cool problem. And it's kind of an innocent mistake, but after that we know white should just play here to make it certain that that A is an I for sure. Yay! Life and death problems are fun. And it's really fun because this is like a textbook problem, right? This is the kind of thing you'd find if you're like just doing Tsumego exercises by yourself. So it's really fun when something this clear-cut shows up in an actual game. I like it. But black didn't find it, so white was able to live. And then the rest of the game is pretty small. Just like 1 point endgame, 2 point endgame, lots of small stuff. Which probably at this level, endgame is really important. I always want to emphasize that endgame is super important. It should not be neglected. But as a beginner, I wouldn't stress out too much about trying to get like a 2-point move instead of a 1-point move, or like a 1.5 instead of a 1 or whatever in the end game. I think it's better to focus more on the opening and middle game. But definitely as you get closer to the Don level, and then especially once you're in the Don level, then endgame becomes really, really important. And I think the focus should shift the other way. Okay, so the end of the game, I think white won by about 15 or 16, somewhere around there. This is a pretty good game. Other than this move right here, white didn't really give black any chances after... it was basically... After white pushed through here, it was a difficult game for black because white got really nice territory on the bottom, which should have been black's area, and white still has a really nice position in the upper left. Okay. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about was Andrey asked for a little bit of advice about how to review your own games. So what I do when I'm reviewing my own games, and then hopefully what I try to do here when I'm reviewing other people's games, is I try to I step through the game pretty quickly until I get to a position where it feels like something went wrong. Like in this position I would stop and say, this seems like it was too good for black, because black got a really nice territory around B and A, and white is really cramped. And it doesn't even look like white is necessarily alive yet with this C group. So it feels like something went wrong. And so when I feel like something went wrong, then I step back and I play through it and I try to figure out, okay, everything seems fine. Hane, okay, block it, go down. And then normally I try to go, oh, maybe going down, maybe this was too slow. Maybe I should have jumped to play more for the center and to split up black's groups. Yeah. And then, let's see. Similarly, okay. After here, it's a disaster, right? Black is super thick, it's really powerful, and white basically donated all these stones as prisoners. So then I want to step back to before any of this developed and step through it slowly and think, okay, I moved it out, pushed through, okay, jump. And in this case, the jump is where things went badly, because black played this wedge, and after the wedge, white didn't really have a way to fix it. So I would consider this instead. And it's going to be pretty difficult for black to save everything. Yeah, so I try to find the areas where I make mistakes or where result is clearly better for one side than the other, and try to figure out exactly what went wrong. Like what was the key point where something went badly but could have gone better. I'm not sure if that helps too much, but I think it's really what I try to do is I like to stop when one person has Sente. So like at this point, black plays C, and that's not something that white needs to react to immediately. So white has Sente. So then I want to do two things. I want to think what's the biggest move for white, and also I want to look at the stones that are already on the board and see if the result was reasonable or not. Like in this case, white's D group here is now completely surrounded, but it is alive, so it's okay. But we just concluded a bunch of moves with this D group around here. So what do we think of the result of the D group versus the black BC group? So if we go back, so it started like this, and white attacked, and okay. So white strengthened these 4 stones quite a bit, and black really didn't get much. Black solidified the A area a little bit, but other than that, black's territory on the right was destroyed, and the rest of black's stones are kind of useless. So this is a really good result for white, I think. So now I would want to step back again and think, okay, where did black go wrong? The attachment, that looks like a good technique. Bring it back. This one. Maybe this is the mistake. Maybe black is able to push out instead, because it's not actually a cut, right? Black is still completely connected. It's ugly shaped now, but still it's better to keep white cleanly split. Like this. If white jumps, keep pushing, and then later it can come back and surround here. So this way black would be able to get a lot more territory in this A area, and white's B group, it's out, it's connected out, and actually in this case this is also a pretty good result for white, because white has a really nice potential in the upper left side. Well, just generally on the left side of the board. So that's not too bad either. But if we compare it to the actual game, it's much better for black. This way, black gets almost nothing in the EFGH area. But in, maybe if this other variation plays out, it looks like black can get quite a lot of points, maybe 15 or 20 points in this area. Okay, so we keep going. And then, oh, this is a big one, where after this, let's see, when is the next Sente? Okay, white finally gets Sente to play here. So then, bring it back. And something went horribly, horribly wrong for black here. This was where white won the game. So we already talked about this. Black's shape is really ugly and didn't really accomplish anything. But this is the real move that's just, I don't understand at all, because white just pushes through and cleanly splits the A group and the B group, and I don't know, white makes territory on the bottom. Just doesn't really make sense. I'm not sure what black was aiming with that. It seems like black should just block here and ensure that there's a good amount of territory at C. Okay, so that's my general method. Yeah. I think the most important thing when improving is to just review all of your games, especially the ones you lose. Sometimes, if you're really competitive, then maybe you get upset when you lose. I mean, I'm like that sometime, where usually when I lose games, it's okay, but sometimes I get really upset with myself if I did something stupid or whatever. So sometimes I take a couple minutes to kind of calm myself down and relax and remind myself that, it's just a game. But always, every game you lose, it's really important to go back afterward and figure out why. And then after you figure out why you lost, figure out what you could have done to have made a better situation for yourself. Yeah. That's the most important thing to focus on when reviewing games. Okay. I don't think I have anything else for this game. Let me see. Kind of went through all of this. Really nice influence. Yeah. Okay. Well, as always, if you have any comments or questions about this game, please leave a comment on YouTube. I would love to hear from you. And if you would like your own game reviewed, or if you would like to play a teaching game with me, feel free to ask. I try to be friendly and nice and happy and smiling, because Go is a really fun game, and it's hard to not be really happy when playing Go, because it's just a wonderful experience, right? Okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.